Exposed, the incredible response of a housekeeper that transformed a millionaire's life forever. Maria rose before dawn in her cramped Chicago apartment, the distant sound of traffic humming like an unbroken promise of a grinding day ahead. For the hardworking 32-year-old housekeeper, life was a relentless cycle of hustle. Each morning, she filled a worn lunch bag with homemade tortillas, inhaling the warm scent of home as she prepared herself for another long day. She had 2 jobs to juggle, one in Pilsen, where she took pride in keeping local homes clean, and the other in a lavish penthouse in the Gold Coast, the home of Charles Westland, a millionaire as lonely as he was rich. Charles lived in a world of extravagant furniture and shimmering city views that felt both impressive and isolating. Maria often glimpsed his struggles through the sterile glass walls they both existed behind. The lavishness surrounding him only deepened his solitude, wrapping around him like chains. But Maria, with her infectious laughter and genuine spirit, became a tiny crack in the stark silence of his existence. Each time she flitted about his penthouse, dusting shelves and mopping floors, she brought a dash of warmth that illuminated the emptiness of his life. Their exchanges turned from awkward greetings into shared moments of vulnerability and understanding. One particular morning, Maria noticed the familiar tension etched across Charles's taunt features. As she straightened stacks of newspapers, she could feel his turmoil wafting through the air like heavy smoke. "You all right, Charles?" she asked, her brow knit with concern. Her soft inquiry broke something within him. He'd never shared his worries with her before. The illusion of his perfect world began to crack. The opulence around them felt even more daunting when weighed against the uncertainty of tomorrow. His empire teetered on the edge, rattled by financial instability. Maria watched as the stark reality of his struggles mirrored her fears for her elderly mother, who fought her own battles against chronic illness. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As days turned into weeks, Maria devised a resourceful plan to help Charles navigate the crisis. Their once clear-cut roles as employer and employee blurred, creating a tapestry of hope woven together through shared vulnerabilities. "What does it mean to be truly rich?" Maria asked him one day, the weight of her words connecting the dots between their 2 worlds. The lines of class and privilege began to fray with every heartfelt conversation, forging an unlikely bond built on respect and understanding. Yet, as Charles faced his darkest hour, surrender felt so close. Desperation loomed large, threatening to swallow him whole. But Maria's resolve shone bright amid the shadows. Their relationship, once so disparate, had become a beacon of light illuminating each other's paths. In that turmoil, both young warriors in their own battle, they began to wrestle with the creeping question: could they change their fates, or would the vast chasm between rich and poor ensnare them both forever? Maria continued to visit Charles's penthouse, and each day felt more like a partnership. They became allies against an unforgiving world. One evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, Maria made a simple meal in her cramped kitchen, the smell of spices carrying memories of home. As she sat at her kitchen table, she thought about how to help Charles. Could kindness and friendship bridge the gap between their worlds? The next morning, she arrived at the penthouse with a new mission. "I brought you something," she said, holding up a small container of her homemade mole. Charles looked surprised, the tension in his shoulders easing slightly. "It's my secret family recipe," she added, a smile lighting up her face. As they sat together to eat, laughter replaced the previous weight of silence. For the first time, they shared stories of their lives. Maria spoke of her childhood in Mexico and the sacrifices her mother made to provide for her family, while Charles shared moments from his youth, revealing a softer side behind the polished facade. They laughed, they cried, and in those moments, they found safety in vulnerability. With each passing week, Maria nudged Charles towards taking practical steps to save his business. It wasn't just about finances anymore, it was deeply personal. She encouraged him to reach out for advice and support from the community. "You don't have to do this alone," she reminded him. As he took her words to heart, he began forming connections that he long avoided, feeling an unexpected thrill at the thought of involving others in his struggles. One afternoon, as they walked through Millennium Park, breathing in the crisp air, Maria noticed the sparkle of determination in Charles's eyes. "You believe in me," he said, momentarily caught off guard by his own admission. It was a turning point, not just for him, but for both of them. Their burdens began to feel lighter as their shared hope grew, but as the sun dipped behind the skyline, casting a golden hue over the city, Maria received some distressing news. Her mother's condition had worsened, the looming fear of hospital bills casting a shadow over her renewed spirits. Driving home that evening, her heart thundered in her chest, each beat echoing her internal struggle. How could she support her family and still be the anchor for Charles? Meanwhile, Charles noticed the change in Maria. The laughter in her eyes dimmed, and he could feel the weight of doubt hanging between them. "What's wrong?" he asked, concern lacing his voice. For a moment, Maria hesitated. This was her battle, her pain to bear. But then she remembered their connection, the promise they made to support each other. "I need help too, Charles," she admitted, tears pooling in her eyes. "My mom, she's sick, and I don't know how to manage it with everything else." The words spilled out like the floodgates had opened, and in that moment, vulnerability stitched them tighter together. As Charles listened, something inside him shifted. He realized that it wasn't about saving just his empire anymore. He had to help someone who had shown him how to truly live. But now, a new challenge loomed ahead. Combining their worlds would mean confronting their deepest fears, sacrifices, and the very foundations of their lives. Would their fragile alliance be enough to withstand the pressures from both their realities? Or would the weight of their struggles tear them apart just when they needed each other the most? As dawn approached, both their hearts anticipated the storm ahead. What awaited them around the corner could either forge a stronger bond or shatter their newfound connection forever. Maria sat quietly in her small kitchen, running her hands over the smooth wood of the table, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The comforting aroma of spices from the day before lingered in the air, a bittersweet reminder of the warmth they had shared. But now, fragments of uncertainty clouded her spirit. Her mother's worsening health had become an added burden, and every phone call from the hospital made her heart race with anxiety. That evening, she picked up her phone, staring at Charles's contact. Should she call him? The fear of overstepping, of asking for too much, tugged at her. She couldn't let him see the cracks in her resolve. Yet, she realized that hiding her worries had kept them both in isolated bubbles. With a deep breath, she dialed. "Hey, Maria. What's up?" Charles' bright voice made her feel a flicker of warmth within the turmoil. I just wanted to check in. I'm okay, but things with my mom are a little tough." Her voice trembled despite her efforts to stay steady. There was a brief silence on the other end, then Charles replied, his tone more serious now. "I'm here for you. Do you want to talk about it?" And with that, the floodgates opened again. Details poured out in a rush. Each word felt heavy, yet liberating. She shared the ups and downs of her mother's health, her family's struggles, the looming hospital bills that felt insurmountable. Through it all, Charles listened. He didn't interrupt. He absorbed her words, his heart aching for her plight. "Maria," he said gently after she finished, "we can face this together. I have resources, people that could help." The idea of involving him felt both exciting and terrifying. Could their unique connection support them through this? Would her pride allow it? In the following days, they forged a new routine. Charles began introducing her to contacts in his network, doctors, financial advisors, even community leaders who could assist with the mounting pressure. Together, they navigated unknown territory, their bond growing stronger as they discovered ways to battle their respective demons. But while Maria felt herself rising, Charles was slowly sinking beneath the weight of his own problems. Every time they worked on solutions together, she noticed the shadow creeping back in his eyes, the fear of failing not only his business but now the weight of her expectations and hopes. One evening after a long day of phone calls and strategy sessions, they sat in silence, a world of unspoken concern stretching between them. The tension thickened, making it hard to breathe. "Maria," Charles finally said, glancing at her with a vulnerability she'd never seen before, "do you ever feel like no matter how hard you try, it's just not enough?" Tears welled in Maria's eyes. "Every day," she admitted, feeling raw and exposed. "Sometimes I wonder if I'm dragging you down with me. I don't want to burden you. You could never be a burden." "We're in this together," he said, urgency in his voice. "But I need you to know it's okay to lean on me. I don't want you to feel alone in this. I'll fight for you and your family, but you have to let me in." There was a moment of perfect stillness, a heartbeat where everything felt tied together before life pulled them apart again. Maria felt the weight of his sincerity wash over her, and she believed him. But just as a new hope began to bloom, another call interrupted the moment, a call from the hospital. Her heart raced. What news could it bring? As she answered, a sinking feeling landed hard in her gut. The uncertainty could change everything. "Is it bad?" Charles asked, watching her face. Tears streamed down her cheeks as she nodded slowly, fear gripping her heart. They want to discuss options in that moment. The future felt uncertain, and both realized they were at a precipice. Would they find a way forward, or would the unexpected twist of fate pull them apart at the moment they desperately needed one another? Maria's voice trembled as she spoke with the nurse. Each word felt like an avalanche of fear tumbling down on her. Options? She could barely comprehend the implications, her mind racing. The room buzzed with the harsh reality of the hospital's vocabulary, a mix of possibilities that seemed to shrink her world even further. The nurse's voice was sympathetic yet clinical, a stark contrast to the tumult in her heart. "We need to discuss palliative care," she explained. "Your mother needs support that optimizes her comfort. It's about quality of life." Maria's grip on the phone tightened as despair swelled inside her. Quality of life? The phrase echoed in her mind like a cruel taunt. It felt like they were choosing suffering over hope, the weight of the decision suffocating her in that moment. "Maria?" Charles's voice broke through the fog, bringing her back to the present. She looked up, catching the concern etched on his face, his features taut with tension. What does it mean?" she whispered, her heart racing. "I don't want to lose her, Charles. I can't." He leaned closer, his eyes searching hers, grounding her in the chaos. "We will figure it out together. One step at a time." Still holding her phone, Maria felt the hard surface of the table beneath her palm, its familiar texture anchoring her. She took a deep breath, trying to catch a glimpse of that glimmer of hope they'd shared not long ago. What if I just can't do this?" Charles reached out, placing his hand over hers. "Then you let me help. I know it's scary, but what if this is an opportunity to lean on each other? To really understand what this fight looks like?" His words struck a chord deep inside her, reminding her that they weren't alone in this storm. But the truth loomed like a heavy fog. Could leaning on him provide the strength she needed when her own reserves were running dry? That night, unable to sleep, Maria stared at the walls of her small kitchen, shadows dancing with each flicker of candlelight. She thought of her mother, of her laughter and her stories, once so vivid now reduced to memories that felt fragile and delicate. The thought of her mother enduring a process without the comforts of familiarity stagnated her heart. Could she let go of her preconceived notions of strength? Was it truly weakness to lean on someone else? She had spent so long holding up her family, fending off the weight of responsibilities alone. But as exhaustion clawed at her, she realized the truth. Some burdens were too heavy to carry solo. The next day, Maria took the leap. She picked up the phone and with shaky hands dialed Charles. "Can we meet? I need to talk to you about everything." He arrived within the hour, his face softening at the sight of her vulnerability. There was a pause before she spoke again, determination bubbling up inside her. "I need your help, not just with my mom, but with everything. I can't fight alone anymore. Together, they mapped out a strategy: each call to make, every appointment to keep. As they talked, Maria felt a flicker of strength ignite, a sense of partnership forming between them, a bond forged in flames of hardship and resilience. Yet, lurking in the corners of her mind was the nagging fear of her mother's health deteriorating further. Would the process they initiated help? Would her family's financial strain overshadow the fragile peace they were trying to build? While they planned, a sudden realization hit her: this was not just about her mother, it was about redefining what it meant to truly be there for each other. As they continued to voice hopes and fears, laughter began to break through their serious conversation, mixing hope with the honesty of their struggles. But just as things began to feel more manageable, Charles revealed something that made Maria's heart drop: a past that entwined unexpectedly with his present, a choice he had to make that could change everything again. "Maria," he said, hesitation in his tone, "there's something I haven't told you." And as those words hung in the air, Maria braced herself for the unexpected twist that could once again shift the foundations of their struggling lives. Maria's heart pounded in her chest. Charles's gaze seemed to penetrate deeper, searching for the right words amidst an ocean of uncertainty. She feared what would come next. "What is it, Charles?" Her voice barely rose above a whisper, a mix of dread and anticipation thick in the air. The silence expanded like a balloon, and she could almost hear her mom's comforting voice cutting through the tension, urging her to remain resilient. He took a deep breath, his brow furrowing as he began to speak. "It's about my brother. He's been struggling, Maria. He's in a dark place." I thought we could put it behind us, but a surge of emotions wrestled within her. As if already standing on shifting sand, this revelation threatened to pull her under anew. "Your brother? I thought things were getting better." "They were," he insisted, his voice quickening, but then he hurt himself. "I don't know, I haven't been there for him. I've been trying to get my life together, and now he needs me, but... Maria prompted, sensing the weight of his struggle. "There's a chance I might have to help him financially." "It's not just about me anymore," he confessed, his shoulders slumping as if the world had settled back on them. She felt her heart twist, the fear of her own family's mounting bills squeezing tighter around her chest. "Charles, I get that family is important, but what about your mom? What about us? I know." His voice cracked slightly as he rubbed a hand across his face in frustration. "But if I don't step up for him, he might not make it. It's so much to carry." In that moment, uncertainty loomed like a thundercloud, and Maria felt herself caught in the crossfire of their realities. "What do we do?" The question danced on the tip of her tongue, a bitter taste left behind. It was meant to be a partnership, but what partnership could endure more obstacles than the ones they were already facing? "Maybe we can think of something," Charles replied hesitantly. "Like pooling resources or seeing if he can stay with us for a while." Maria shook her head. "That's a path with more complications. I can't be the one holding everything up just to watch it crumble again. What happens to your brother, your family? And what if your mom's health declines? I don't want to juggle priorities. I can't." The shadows danced again, not with the flicker of a candle but with the weight of looming decisions. Maria's throat tightened. Could she truly stand beside someone contending with familial shadows that mirrored her own? "Maybe it's all too much," she said softly, as if by saying it, she might wave away the gnawing reality. "What happens if I can't keep myself afloat while you're helping your brother? What if we both drown?" Charles's eyes widened, a mixture of pain and urgency flushing across his face. "Drowning isn't an option for us. We can't afford to sink, not with everything at stake. I just need you to trust that I'll be there for you, too." His words were like a lifebuoy thrown into choppy waters, but the doubt still clung to her like seaweed. Maria swallowed hard, weighing her options, suddenly aware that the stakes reached beyond their worlds. They entangled families, health, and the very essence of their own dreams. "I don't know if I can keep up this pace," she admitted. "Right when I thought we were finding a clear path forward." "We'll keep going, Maria," he said, his voice unusually firm. I'll make it work. Together, we manage. But the question loomed heavy in the back of her mind: how could they truly ever find peace in the eye of the cyclone when life kept throwing them into the storm? As they continued to discuss their options, a feeling came over Maria, a whisper of resolve fighting against the tidal wave of anxiety. It wasn't just about their families anymore, it was about what it meant to fight for each other amidst the chaos. Just as they reached a tentative plan, the phone ringing cut through their conversation. With a sinking feeling, Maria's heart rejected the thought of more bad news. She picked it up, a nervous flutter in her stomach. Whoever was on the other end could change everything. Hello? She answered, bracing for impact, not knowing how much her life might pivot in that single moment. Maria? The voice on the other end of the line was shaky, like a fragile leaf clinging to a branch in the wind. It was her sister, Elena. Yeah, it's me. What's wrong? Maria's pulse quickened. She could sense urgency in her sister's tone, a familiar dread creeping in. I don't know how to say this. It's about Mom. Elena's words tumbled from her lips in a rush, and Maria's stomach dropped. What is it? She collapsed at the grocery store. They took her to the hospital, Elena said, her voice breaking. I'm on my way there now. Maria felt her blood run cold. Oh my God, what happened? Is she okay? I don't know, Maria. They're running tests. I just thought you should know. I'm so scared. The weight of her sister's fear pressed against Maria's chest, making it hard to breathe. She had always been the strong one, holding everything together when storms brewed. But this time felt different. Okay, I'll be right there, she managed to say, her thoughts swimming. As she hung up the phone, all the plans she and Charles just discussed evaporated. The worries about his brother, the stress of their financial burdens, and the anxiety about their future all paled in comparison to the looming shadow of her mother's health. Maria? Charles' voice drew her back. What is going on? That was my sister. Mom's in the hospital, she said, each word heavy as stone. We need to go. His face fell, understanding the gravity of the situation. He didn't hesitate. Let us go. I'll drive. In the car, the streets blurred past them. Maria stared out the window, her mind racing. What if this was serious? What would happen if they lost her? Images from her childhood flashed before her mother's laughter, her encouragement, those gentle hugs that seemed to make everything okay. She turned to Charles, who was focused on the road ahead, anxiety etched on his face. I know things are complicated right now, but I can't fight for us while worrying about my mom, she said, her voice trembling. She's always been there for me. I need to be there for her. Of course, I understand, he said softly, turning to meet her gaze. Whatever you need, I'm here. The promise hung heavily in the air. He had his brother's issues to deal with, and now Maria had her mother's crisis pulling her in another direction. It felt like a teeter-totter, precariously balanced, ready to tip over at any moment. They arrived at the hospital, the sterile scent of antiseptic filling Maria's nostrils. As they walked through the sliding glass doors, dread tightened her chest again. She spotted Elena pacing, her face wet with tears, and Maria rushed towards her. What do they say? Maria asked, her heart hammering. Elena shook her head, sniffing. They're still running tests. It could be anything. At that moment, a doctor approached, his expression serious. Maria's breath hitched. Are you the daughters of Rosa Ramirez? Yes, they both answered in unison, fear coiling tighter within them. What is going on? Maria's voice was unsteady, a raw edge of desperation taking over. Let us talk in my office, the doctor said, pointing toward a side corridor. The sensation of dread formed a knot in her throat. As they followed the doctor, Maria glanced back at Charles, who stood there like an anchor in a storm, but she was terrified of what lay ahead. Something was about to change. What was the diagnosis? And with her mother's health hanging in the balance, how would Charles's family struggles fit into the equation? Maria's feet felt like lead as they followed the doctor down the cold, fluorescent hallway. Each step echoed in her mind, amplifying her anxiety. The white walls felt suffocating, a stark contrast to the vibrant colors of the world outside. "Please, just tell us she's okay." Elena's whispered plea broke through the fog in Maria's mind, pulling her back. She glanced at her sister, whose eyes were wide with fear. The doctor led them into a small office, the air thick with unspoken worries. He gestured for them to sit, and Maria's heart raced as she avoided his gaze, focusing instead on a poster about health awareness on the wall. She felt like a child again, waiting for a teacher to announce a pop quiz she hadn't studied for. "I'm sorry to keep you waiting," the doctor began, his tone steady but somber. "Your mother's tests have shown some concerning results." Maria clenched her fists, fighting back the tears that threatened to spill over. "What do you mean? Is it serious?" The doctor took a deep breath. "We believe she may have had a minor stroke. We need to monitor her closely, but the signs are concerning." "A minor stroke." The words felt heavy, like stones in her stomach. She exchanged glances with Elena, whose face had gone pale. "What does this mean for her?" Maria asked, her voice trembling. "Will she recover?" "There's potential for recovery, but it depends on various factors," he replied cautiously. "We need to run more tests to determine the full extent of the damage." Maria's heart sank. The uncertainty hovered over them like a dark cloud. "Can I see her?" she asked, desperation creeping in. "Yes, but she may still be groggy from medication," the doctor cautioned. "It's important to give her time." "I don't care. I need to see her," Maria insisted, her voice rising with urgency. Her mother was fighting, and she needed to be there to support her. The doctor nodded and led them to the room. As they entered, Maria's breath hitched. There lay her mother, fragile and small against the stark white sheets. Machines beeped rhythmically, and she looked so different from the woman Maria had always known, full of life and warmth. "Elena, come here." Maria's voice cracked as she stepped closer. Elena joined her, both women grasping each other's arms for support. "Mom, it's us," Maria whispered, her eyes filling with tears. Her mother stirred slightly but didn't wake up. Maria's heart ached as she watched the rise and fall of her mother's chest. So familiar yet so distant. "Maria." Elena's voice broke her from her thoughts. "What are we going to do?" For a moment, Maria didn't know how to respond. Her mind raced through the uncertainties of the future. "We're going to be here for her. That's all we can do right now," she said softly, trying to summon strength. The sound of footsteps approached, and a nurse entered, flashing a small smile. "We're monitoring her closely. She's stable for now. You can sit with her." Maria took a chair beside the bed, holding onto her mother's hand, feeling the warmth radiating from her. "I love you, Mom. I'm right here," she whispered, brushing a few strands of hair away from her mother's forehead. Elena settled on the other side, squeezing Maria's hand. As they sat there, enveloped by the quiet beeping of the machines, Maria felt a surge of determination. This was not just about her mother. This was about family, about love. And they would face whatever came next together. Suddenly, her phone buzzed in her pocket, pulling her from her thoughts. It was Charles. She hesitated, her fingers hovering over the screen. Should she answer? "Maria?" Elena's voice broke through her hesitation. What if something happens?" With her heart pounding, Maria stared at her phone, torn between the present and the complications that awaited her back home. As she looked back at her mother, a new resolve took root, but at that moment, pressed between love and uncertainty, Maria couldn't help but wonder what would life look like if they pulled through this. And could her family withstand the turmoil that was brewing outside these hospital walls? Maria's heartbeat thrummed in her ears as she finally answered the call. "Hello. Her voice was shaky, a curious mix of hope and fear. "Maria, it's Charles," he said, his voice steady but filled with an urgency that made her stomach knot. "I heard about your mom. Is she okay?" She glanced at her mother, her pale face framed by the stark hospital bedding. "They think she had a minor stroke. We're still waiting for more tests." Each word felt like a weight, pressing down on both her and Charles. "Oh God, I'm so sorry. I didn't know. Is there anything I can do?" His concern was genuine, but Maria felt a strange mix of gratitude and irritation. How could he offer help when he didn't even know what to really do for her? "Just give me some space for now. I'm in the hospital," she replied, biting her lip to hold back the flood of emotions. "Of course. I'll be here if you need me," he said softly, but as she hung up, an unsettled feeling crept into her thoughts. How could he understand the whirlwind of emotions she was experiencing, surrounded by uncertainty and fear? "Who was that?" Elena asked, her voice low yet inquisitive. "It was Charles. He wants to help." Maria's eyes flicked back to the beeping machines, their rhythmic sound somehow both comforting and terrifying. Elena lowered her gaze. "I don't want to think about home right now. I just want to focus on Mom." "Me too." And as they sat together, their thoughts spiraling in the same direction, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that this all felt too vast, too insurmountable. The nurse returned, breaking the thick silence between them. "She's waking up," the nurse announced, her voice laced with warmth. "We're going to monitor her closely now." Maria's heart raced. "Mom, can you hear us?" she urged softly, leaning closer to her mother's face. The lines of worry deepened as she noticed her mother's eyelids flutter. Slowly, her mother blinked. Confusion danced in her eyes before they landed on Maria. Maria?" Her voice was frail, whisper-soft yet powerful enough to fill the room with a spark of hope. "Yes, Mom. It's me." Tears sprang to Maria's eyes as she squeezed her mother's hand tightly. "We're here, we're right here." Her mother's gaze shifted to Elena, who suddenly found her voice. "Mom, it's me, Elena." A faint smile crept across her mother's face, a flicker of recognition breaking through the fog of medication. "You came," she murmured, her voice cracking like an ancient tree. "Of course we did. We're not going anywhere," Maria assured her, the warmth of her mother's touch flooding her with relief. But despite the moment of clarity, the worries didn't fade. The uncertainty still loomed over them, ready to plunge them back into darkness. "Rest, Mom. They're taking care of you," Maria said gently, anticipating her mother's body needing to recover. The nurse smiled, adjusting the blanket over her mother's frail form. "We'll keep her comfortable, don't worry. But I need you to understand there's still a long road ahead." A chill swept through Maria's heart as the reality sank in. They would need to navigate therapy, appointments, and endless what-ifs. Would their mother be the same? What would her recovery look like? As the nurse left the room, Elena took a deep breath, breaking the still tension. What happens if she doesn't get better? Maria met her sister's eyes, a wave of protective instinct welling. "We'll face it together, okay? Whatever it takes." Just as she spoke those words, a faint alert rang from the monitors. All eyes shifted to the screens, concern washing over them. "Is she okay?" Elena asked, panic rising. The nurse rushed back in, her expression calm but urgent. "We need to check on her vitals. You both should step out for a moment." Maria felt an icy grip on her heart. "No, please, we need to stay." But just as she uttered those words, a chilling thought crossed her mind. What if this was just the beginning of a fight they hadn't prepared for? They stepped back, uncertainty flickering between them. And as they waited anxiously outside the room, Maria couldn't shake the feeling that the road ahead was fraught with challenges that would either break them or make them stronger. What would they find waiting for them when they returned? Would their mother even be the same woman they once knew? The silence outside the room was heavy, pressing in on Maria and Elena as they stood together, hearts pounding in synchrony. Time seemed to stretch, each ticking second magnifying their fears. The sterile smell of the hospital hung around them, and every echo of activity felt like a reminder of how fragile life could be. "Do you think," Elena began, her voice trembling slightly. Maria turned to her sister, unsure of what would come next. Would she voice the fear both of them had been wrestling with? Would this moment break them when they had to be strong? What if Mom doesn't come back to us? What if the tremor in Elena's voice sent a rush of urgency through Maria? "Stop." Maria placed a reassuring hand on Elena's shoulder, trying to ignite a spark of hope. "We don't know anything yet, okay? The doctors are skilled. They'll do everything they can, just like we will." Elena nodded, but her eyes glistened with unshed tears. But she's not the same anymore, Maria. She hadn't even fully opened her eyes. A chill crept up Maria's spine as the words landed heavily in the air between them. The vision of their vibrant mother, the woman who embodied strength and love, who wore life's challenges like badges of honor, felt like a distant memory now. Just then, the nurse stepped out, her expression a mix of professionalism and warmth. "She's stable," she said, pausing to let the sigh of relief wash over the sisters. "For now. But we're monitoring her closely. She might need a little time to adjust." Emotional responses can vary. Maria's heart sank at that word, adjust. She felt a sudden wave of anger, frustration, and sadness all at once. Adjust? How could they adjust when everything felt chaotic? "Can we see her?" Maria asked, her voice firm despite the turmoil inside. "Just give us a moment to set things up," the nurse replied, a gentle smile brightening her features. "You can go back in once she's a bit more settled." The sisters exchanged looks, a silent understanding passing between them. They were caught in this storm together, bound by blood and fear, and they would find a way through it. Minutes passed, feeling like hours, before they were finally allowed back into the room. Maria stepped inside first, her heart racing again at the sight of their mother. The machines beeped steadily, accompanying the chorus of nervous thoughts swirling in her mind. As she approached the bed, her heart flipped. Her mother lay there, looking so small, yet somehow fragile yet fierce. "Mom," she whispered, taking her mother's hand, still careful not to be too invasive. There was still strength in that grip, even if it felt weak. The corners of her mother's mouth twitched slightly as she opened her eyes. Confusion flickered, but then she focused on Maria. Maria?" she said again, her voice barely audible but filled with unmistakable love. "Yeah, it's me, Mom. I'm here," Maria responded, tears threatening to spill over as she fought to maintain her composure. "We're both here. We're not going anywhere." Elena leaned in closer, her voice cracking through the emotion. "We love you, Mom. So much." And in that moment, Maria felt a surge of hope, a reminder of their family bond. It wasn't just about the uncertainty or the countless appointments they'd face. It was about togetherness and love that might just take them through whatever lay ahead. Then, just as that warmth enveloped her, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Distracted, she pulled it out, her heart racing again as she saw Charles' name flashing. She hesitated, thoughts racing. Did she want to talk to him now? Did she need him to witness this moment, or was it still too raw? "Who is it?" Elena asked. The tightness in her voice was there again, but Maria noticed an undercurrent of curiosity as well. It's Charles. Should you answer?" Maria bit her lip, emotions swirling. The looming questions about their mother had her unsettled, and talking to Charles felt like a complication she wasn't ready for. "Maybe I should." Suddenly, an alarm blared from the machine by their mother's bedside, cutting through the moment with a harsh edge. Panic surged again, as the clarity of the situation crashed upon them. The warmth they just felt shattered. "Get the nurse!" Maria shouted, her heart racing. As she stepped back, realizing the gravity of their situation, she thought about everything that had happened so far. How quickly things could change. Would they find their mother okay again, or was this all just the tip of the iceberg? And how would they face each challenge that lay ahead? She glanced at her sister, who looked back with wide eyes, their unspoken fears intertwining in the charged air. What did this moment mean for them? And what was waiting down the road? As the harsh beeping of the machine echoed in the sterile room, it felt like time stood still. Maria's heart raced as she stumbled backward, feeling a wave of urgency wash over her. Everything she had fought for, everything she had shared with Charles, flickered in and out of focus. The nurse rushed in, her calm demeanor punctuating the rising chaos. "Let me check her vitals," she said, her voice steady as she leaned down to examine the monitors. Maria and Elena stood frozen, hearts thumping in their chests. The sight of their mother lying there, vulnerable and at the mercy of machines, unraveled something deep inside Maria. She felt like a child again, small and utterly helpless. "I can't lose her," Maria whispered, the weight of her fears crashing down like a heavy tide. "You won't," Elena said fiercely beside her, clutching Maria's arm. They exchanged a glance filled with shared terror and determination. They would not let this be the end. Just then, the nurse straightened, her brow furrowing as she recalibrated the machine. "Her heart rate has stabilized," she announced, and it felt like a breath of fresh air. The sisters exchanged a look of fragile hope, each small victory feeding their resolve. A moment later, the doctor re-entered the room with a reassuring smile. "Your mother is responding well to treatment. We're going to keep monitoring her, but her condition seems stable for now." Relief washed over Maria, but she knew it was just the first hurdle. "What about the recovery process?" she asked, her voice edged with both fear and hope. The doctor nodded. "We will begin a rehabilitation program to help her regain strength. It's a long road, but with support from you both, she has a good chance of recovery." As the doctor spoke, Maria felt a renewed sense of purpose rise within her. This was not just her battle, it was their battle, together. Through it all, her love for her mother fueled her strength. "Can we see her now?" Elena asked, her voice soft but insistent. "Of course. Just keep the noise down, she's still a bit groggy," the nurse gently replied. Maria walked tentatively toward her mother's bedside, where the machines hummed in a rhythmic cadence. Leaning closer, she whispered, "Mom, it's me. We're all here. You're safe." Little by little, their mother's eyes began to sparkle again. As she blinked against the light, recognition broke through her confusion. "Maria Elena?" Her voice was still weak, but it held the promise of the love that stitched their family together. "Yeah, Mom, it's us," Maria cried, tears of joy now mingling with the anxiety they had just survived. The sight of her mother's faint smile felt like sunshine breaking through a heavy rain. "I'm here to take care of you," Elena added, her heart swelling with fierce protectiveness. The hours turned into days as Maria, Elena, and Charles rallied around their mother. Charles had been a constant source of support, a steadfast ally in their emotional struggle. He organized fundraisers, reaching out to contacts who provided resources for out-of-pocket medical expenses. Maria watched as the man who had once seemed so isolated evolved into this community pillar, all because of the connection they shared, the bond that had miraculously blossomed amidst their trials. One evening, while sitting by her mother's side, Maria found herself reflecting on everything that had transpired. The fear, the uncertainty, it had all led them here. Leaning over, she brushed her mother's hair back, grateful every day for each little sign of progress. Even as her mother recovered, the unknown still lay ahead. "Maria," Charles said one day when they were alone together in the hospital cafeteria, "can we talk?" He looked serious, and Maria felt a flutter of nerves at the sight of his expression. "What's wrong?" she asked. "I was thinking about everything." His eyes bore into hers, a hint of vulnerability breaking through. "I want to be there for you, for your family. More than just a friend, I want to be a partner if you'll let me." She paused, letting the gravity of his words sink in. Scared, Charles. I've been scared throughout this whole ordeal. I don't know how to balance everything with what you're dealing with too. He reached across the table, his fingers brushing hers. Life is unpredictable, but we can forge ahead together. No more barriers. We build a life with our struggles and our triumphs, a newfound reality rooted in trust and shared love. Tears filled her eyes as she nodded, her heart swelling with emotion. She realized they had both transformed through this journey. You're right, she whispered, feeling gratitude envelop her. Together. This is our moment, Maria. Life keeps throwing challenges. But we will be each other's anchor. And as Maria looked into Charles's eyes, she felt a surge of conviction. Whatever path lay ahead, they would face it together, rewriting their story one heartbeat at a time. Maria held onto her mother's hand, each day filled with hope and love. With Charles by her side, they rose like a family forged in fire, growing stronger with each challenge. Together, they not only faced the storms but danced in the rain, stitched together in resilience and unwavering love. Remember, just like them, you have the choice to share your struggles and embrace the ties that bind us. So let this story inspire you and those around you. You need to subscribe now to not miss more exclusive stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow this beautiful community. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can inspire change.